Today to get things fixed up and straightened. There's just a lot of little tiny things I have to do in here. Okay, let's move that back. Move this over like this. Get everything set up just right. One day I will have it perfect. I'm sure I'll set this up just right perfectly. I will know. But until then, we'll just do it this way. All right, I notice what I've got going on is just a couple too bright areas. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mute them out. Get some walnut oil back on that brush, get a little bit of white and a lot of Payne's Gray, and just mix it around, and we'll just do this little top section right here across. Whee! All right, that's it. I gotta do something about this section too, but I really haven't decided yet. So we'll just kind of think about it as I go. And last night, what did I do? A lot over here. I did a lot of stuff. Did a lot of work in this area. Finally got this building finished. It is done. Well, actually, I will come back and put a tiny little bit more on around the eye just to get a little bit better. And then I have to fill in that dark spot. So I guess it wasn't done. It's close enough. Oh, here, I just wanted to clean up a couple areas. Let's see. Right here. Oops, let's go lighter color. Let's get some white onto my palette knife. And let's get some walnut oil. And I mix that around in my palette knife onto my brush. And I just really see just a couple areas here that just need to be finited. Finited? No, totally different. All right. I'm just cleaning that up just to make those lines a little bit more delicate looking. They were a little fuzzy. Okay, I better stop or else I'll make it worse. And let's see where else. Let's just put a little on a couple other areas. I should have a little bit more white within these zones, but I think this is fine. I have to make sure I get this covered because I do notice that tiny little bit of red from the tracing element I used. All right, that looked good. I also changed the tape. So last night I was working on the bottom here, and I noticed there was some red paint on the bottom of my painting, and I said, well, how is that even possible? And it was from the tape. It rubbed off from the tape. So since I feel like I was at the ending stage of my painting, I just replaced the blue tape on there, and that'll be perfect. Tonight, I'm going to flip this upside down and paint the bottom, and that will take about two coats, 2 dry days, and then that will be completely done, and then I can come back up and finish my painting out and paint the sides, and then that should be the done section. Hold on, hold my breath real quick while I do that straight line. And then this weekend, I am going back out to the shop again for the Truman Show project. I have the paint for it. So what I'll be doing this weekend is filling in any cracks on my wood piece. And then I will primer it with oil, primer. And then I will paint well, I have white and a dark blue because they're already pre-mixed at my local hardware store. And so since I can mix paint myself, I just bought the blue they had, which was a darker blue. So I will mix that darker blue up with the white and make a sky blue for the Truman Show project. And then I should have some white over for the clouds. So yeah, I'm excited about this project, and it'll be simple, easy, and done. And like I said, I was looking at the value of it, and I jokingly said to my husband, I said, "Oh yeah, I bet I could sell that for $500 today right now." And then I said, well, wait, before I say that, let's see how much work, materials, and time we put into this already. And I was like, oh, 500 hours is not enough. We have put definitely over 1,000 hours into it. I mean, $1,000 worth of material and time into it. So, yeah, I think we had over 12 hours on just not even the painting part. It takes a lot of time. Now, if you were to do many of these, oh yeah, you could kick them out really quick, but it's always the first one that is the hardest. And, I was talking, like my husband and I were talking yesterday, and I said, 95% of woodworking is just making jigs. And he was like, no kidding. I was like, just having to sit around and make jigs just to do the project, that's time right there that people don't even think about. I actually have a jig for something I make, a wood product, and it took me a long time to make that jig. So just having those things together. Yeah. Oops, let's get this little love one cleaned up a little bit. What should we do here to this love one? Let's do some, oh, hello, you guys. Thanks for joining. Hello. I am just painting away today. I'm getting closer to the end of my painting. I'm starting to take catalog of what needs to be done. And I've almost finished this entire bottom row. I feel like, yeah, it looks pretty good. There's a couple areas that might need a little fine tune, but that's because I'm sitting right here this close to it. Do I really need those fine tuning? Probably not. But when you sit this close and paint, you're looking at everything very closely. But it's those things that make the painting too, so you can't deny it. You just got to figure out how much you want to use that. There we go. Let's get my love in there. It looks almost like live, and then I was looking at it backwards the other day in the video, and it looked like it said evil, and I was like, oh no. All right, and then I'm going to put that black line right across the top there again. Dorsey Spencer. I think you're from Canada? All right. Okay, perfect. Today what I was going to talk about, did you know one of the oldest Civil War forts is here in Washington State? What? I know. How crazy is that? It's not very far from my house. It's literally over this hill right here. It's called Fort Simcoe, and you can look it up. And they rebuilt Fort Simcoe. Now, Fort Simcoe, it takes a long time to drive there. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's a giant warehouse by it, and that's it. I mean, there's nothing else going on out there. There's nothing. I mean, the warehouse is even creepy, so what the heck, But Fort Simcoe, they rebuilt it. There's all the buildings out there, some of the houses. And the funny thing is they were all rebuilt. So there's not a lot of original. There's original jail out there, and the jail for a while actually was another business for a while and moved around town, and they finally got it back out to the fort again. But there's these houses out there that they rebuilt to look like the officer houses, and they're pretty fine, pretty nice. And people have seen a woman in the windows of those houses. And that is the funny thing is that they were rebuilt. They're not the original houses. So there's a ghost haunting new build construction. I think that's quite interesting. I did not personally see the ghost in my endeavors. I was looking out for rattlesnakes and bears because I guess that is what you got problems with out there. But I did do a video actually in my YouTube channel on Fort Simcoe and the interesting stuff about it. It was really interesting. At one point, it's like there's these graveyards, and they go out there, and it's like honoring a dude that was only there a month and died. I mean, it's like, why? When hundreds of other people died there were no other markings or cemeteries. It was so strange. I don't know, it's interesting out here is the uh, Native Americans, they have a lot of little cemeteries out in by the fort because that's on the Indian reservation. And so when you're driving out there, you'll all of a sudden in the sagebrush, you'll see a bunch of little flags or just little random things, and you're getting closer and you notice it's a tiny lot, a little lot of spot of land completely full of graves. It's very interesting. I think they're like family graves. I would love to know more, but I don't know who I'd ask. I've been to the actual Yakima Reservation museum, and it's very cool, very interesting. I got this cool bracelet there, and got to learn all these great things, find out about all the people that from the community that were out in the world. Like, I believe one of the first female pilots is from our area. And I actually did a little talk about her in one of my videos. I talk about the flight museum. We also have a flight museum here in town. And one of the women there in there. So I talk about that. But do you think I can remember any of that? Nope. I can't convey it back to you. It's like I learn things and then out of my head into something else. Isn't that how it always is? Learn something and then on to something else. Let's zoom in so you can see how crazy this is here. What I'm doing. And I looked away, so now I forgot. Okay, I just noticed this, that we just need a little black line across the top here. Okay, I can take a breath again. We'll just take little breaths as we go. Looking at it in the camera in reverse, it looks so bad. But looking at my angle looks much better. I have a little floater in my eye right there. So it's like, I am trying to look. Can the floater get out of my eye, please? All right, and go on to here. Yeah, we have a really cool flight museum here in Yakima. In fact, we used to have the Blue Angels used to come in every year. We had a giant flight show every year here in town. And then somebody freaked out and thought, oh, maybe it's not safe. I don't know what happened. But it went on for years and years. It took 4 years to plan one show. And I just don't think we have those type of planners around anymore, huh? You know? But they brought people from all over the world to come see. And then they stopped. No more. It's not good. You think you'd want to benefit your town and keep those things going. They used to have like awards too in this town. My son actually got an award when he was a child. He had leukemia when he was a child, and he set up a fundraiser for teddy bears to donate them to the local mission. And because, you know, he was really young, so he couldn't really go to Disneyland and do any Make-A-Wish things because he was just super young. But he was really big about helping the community out, and so that helped him kind of thank the community for helping him out. You know, at the time I worked at a grocery store, and they set up like these little, you know, help, you know, us out type of money little things. But honestly, our insurance covered everything at the time, so we really didn't have to need extra things. It helped us pay for the travel because we had to drive across the mountains to get care for our child. But yeah, so he felt like he wanted to say thank you to the community, and so he did a teddy bear drive. He was on the news, he was in the newspapers, and so, you know, and then so they gave him a little award for being like in the community or something like that, which was really sweet, you know. And so yeah, the teddy bear drive. I remember that a long time ago, so long ago. All right. I talk about liminal spaces. Back at the time, Children's Hospital in Seattle was one of the creepiest places to be. They would have these long, wide corridors with no windows anywhere. And sometimes there'd be doors on the right or left as you're walking down, and it just was creepy. Where the pharmacy was the creepiest. Looking for the right brush. Uh-huh. There we go. Get that across. Thanks for joining today, for hanging out there. I'm just painting this painting because I got nothing better to do. No, I got lots of things to do, but this is what I choose to do. I think that what's going to happen is either I need to step back and say, hey, that's good enough, Tammy. You don't really need to worry too much about getting everything too great, and then walk away, be good. But it's really hard because you see other things in the painting as you go, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like that. Oh, I want to add more to that. Like right here, this whole section, I just want to add this more darker line in here. The brush only holds so much paint. So to get it on there and spread it out, and it's a little crooked, but I'm going to use this little device here. This Frankenstein monster of a paintbrush, which no longer is anything like the paintbrush it originally was. I'm going to come across the top like that. You know, I wonder if they are now doing AIs in our live shows and sending AI to interact with our shows. My live show, because yesterday I had some interesting, unusual things happen. And I immediately said to myself, there is no way this is a real person. They are too fast. They're so fast. They're reacting to me super fast. And I thought, well, just because I don't type fast doesn't mean other people don't. That's true. That's true. It's true. But in all of my life, I think I only met one person who I know can type that fast. And that's because she works for attorneys and she has to transcribe everything that they say. So yeah, she's super fast. So maybe the person did that. Maybe that was their job. All right, random talking again. Because I gotta reach for paintbrushes that are so far away. I just try this one again. Some brushes are just too weak. They're too soft. They're just meant for other things. They're not meant for this. And the oil paint's too thick, so there we go. This is probably my acrylic brush. It got messed into my oil paints or something. And I would tell you, but there's paint all over everything, so you can't even read it. Not even a bit. Okay, we're doing great. We're gonna do about an hour here. We're 20 minutes in. We got 40 more minutes of fun painting. You know, of all the things that I create, painting is the least amount of fun. It just is sit down and do it type of work. Oops, I got a little bit out of spot right there. Let's fix that. But painting is very therapeutic. You can go fast and slow. You can get lost in it. I think it's a little bit of everything. And, you know, you gotta have a little bit of patience, I'm sure, but not really. I mean, look at, what's his name? Pollock's paintings. He just dribbles stuff on there. I was gonna say, is his name Jason Pollock? And I was like, I don't know. All right. Okay. Okay. So that was cleaned up a little bit. I don't know, but I'm gonna let this dry here. Sometimes, like I said, you have to stack that Payne's Gray to get it really dark. And if you don't, and if it's not like, let me try something here. Yeah, I don't know about that. Oh, it's too little. Okay. I have to let that dry. That's from yesterday. It was still wet. I'm gonna leave it alone for now. But I'm a little worried about this other spot here. Let me just put I put a little bit more Payne's Gray on this brush and just blending that spot. Okay. Perfect. There's these tiny little divots, or dots. I call the dots that stick out of the canvas. And these little dots have tiny little white flecks. Shh, be very, very quiet. We are hunting rabbits. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit because see, it's really raised up. So those dots just they won't go away. And once again, that's why I'm saying to get ultra focus on things that you really just shouldn't worry about. But that's how it is. Hello, hello. Okay, put that across. There we go. Okay, that's better than nothing. So you can see, I can see tiny little lint pieces on some of this paint, and there's nothing I can really do about it. It's just little, wipe it off and go. All right, let that dry. And I really see that this area here, that's looking better. Is there anything I mixed? Oh yeah, I missed this. I said mixed. Miss. Did I mix? All right, let's see here. Oh, we should pull back. We gotta make sure we're in this zone. Let's do this really quick. All right, that one looks good. And then that last one here. The tiniest little line. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Oh, there's this one. See, I'm noticing other ones don't have it too. And then this one right there. Okay. Where was that one I just seen? It disappeared so quickly. That's why, in a sense, I was talking about. Sometimes you really don't need to do it because it disappears. Some things you don't need to work as hard on as other things. All right, okay, that seems a little better. Hold on, we're gonna come down here. Nice. This does look like it needs some work over here, but how much work do I want to give this? There we go, across. That's another good question. All right. I'm going to stop into this zone real quick, and I just see one or two things that I want to clean up. Instead of just I'm just kind of going across the bottom up here and fixing a couple things. Okay, that looks good. Let's do a little upper right here. An upper blip and a lower blip. It's weird how I've noticed that, like, when I've been painting this, like, how I get these crooked lines. So it's the paintbrush itself, and it's my own fault. So I start here, And my paintbrush is right there, and I come across and I go to here. And when I stop and pull away, it usually goes down. So when I start here, it usually starts up, the brush does, and then it pushes down when I go away. So I've been trying to notice that I've been making that mistake and try to fix it as I go. Perfect. I just looked a little wrong. Now, what I've seen over here, moving this one, get over into this zone. What I'm seeing over here is this looks really dull. We can try to get this camera set up. There we go. This one looks really dull. And I've already gone through and put the darks in there and the lights, but it's still just, it feels like it's missing something. So I'm going to just start randomly, and this is wet, or else I'm going to come back and finish this. What I'll do is, here, I'm going to, oops, a tiny bit of paint on that. I'm going to use this time to hold my fingers on. There we go. I'm going to find that, this is a giant fork I painted in here, and it's just not that dark yet. Okay, we're doing it. I notice that when I start on Monday on my lives, I'm like on spot, doing really good. Great job, doing great. And then when I get down to Thursdays, I'm tired. It's the talking, I think, that's most tiresome. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can fix this little bloop and little bloop here. Yep. Yep. Good. And then I'm gonna push that in to what I already painted so it doesn't smear across. Well, thank you, Holy Cross. Hello, hello. So now I'm gonna come down, and this is like I was thinking of this fork is like for barbecues. That's what kind of fork it is. I've got quite a bit of food in here, so you gotta have some utensils. I've got a mug root beer cup. I didn't put a plate in here, but I think you could use anything as a plate. So, and then I'm just gonna do this little design at the end. Yeah, we'll see how much farther. Let's see, is this the best brush? No, let's find a better brush. And we're gonna do this. Oops, we have got this be on top of this, man. All right, so now I'm going to take in here. This is pretty dark, I think. It looks pretty good. This is what needs, see, it's a little bit of, but if I mess with that, it'll just keep looking bad. So I gotta let it dry, because I worked on it yesterday. I repainted all of this yesterday, so it's still wet. There, just add a little line there. That's fine. And then I'm gonna come back through and just add little lines right onto the right or left and bottom of each window. There. Now this area does need some work, but I'm a little concerned. Because I feel like this is out of our color range, and that's where my concern is it's too light. No, it's actually just perfect, but what I am seeing is it's really a lot darker down here in my picture. In this lower part of this building, it's much darker. And here, I never finished this one either. So if I make that one darker in the bottom, that might work too. Maybe, maybe not. But we'll just keep working on it as we go. I already did all the hard stuff. Now I just have to do the boring, tedious stuff. Was there ever a fun moment in this painting? like some paintings, yeah, you're like, I can't, you jump up and you stand up and you're painting it and you're, yeah. I'm not saying that this is not fun. I'm just saying that maybe when you do stuff like this, it's not as exciting as you would hope it to be. I'm going to put a detail of how this ledge is right here. My lights, highs and lows just were not good enough. So now I just need to put the edge in. All right, that looks way better. Sweet. Okay, and then I'll come in here. Yeah, I just want a lot more highs and lows in this. And last night you can see I put a little bit down here and I worked more on this one. It looks really good, but that Payne's Gray will dry up and lighten up, so it won't be as bold as that it looks right now. I wish it was. Sometimes I really just want to add a little elements and then stop and then not add them to the rest of the things. Yeah. I should make that into a spider. Give him a little black head right there. Give him a little black body. Or her. You know, on TikTok, one of the miniature artists that I follow has a little pet jumping spider. And whoa, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you that she turns the little mini TV on for it and it sits there and watches it. She made it a little house and it like, I mean, it is the coolest thing. I mean, I have to tell you right now, it's the coolest thing. But this little guy has such personality, and there's a point where he gets into his room, walks around, and he sits himself up so just his eyes are looking out at her. I mean, it was really interesting. Oh, we got spiders so far, but we need to have more segments. There we go. There we go. And when those jumping spiders shed, their little eye masks come off too. And you can look through them and look through that little eye mask and see what a spider sees. Now, I think that was probably one of the coolest things ever. Now, I don't know if she showed that on her video, but I had seen that recently and thought that, well, that's cool. There goes the chickens again. You know, yesterday they did this too. They were really loud at one point, like they were freaking out. Well, I think it's because they just started laying eggs and they don't know what to do about. They're upset about it. Okay, we got our spider in here, which we decided to do at the last minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if I can do a. No, I think it'll just have to look like that. Okay. I'll let that dry and I'll come back through, and what I'll end up doing is I'll come through and I'll put a little design on his back. Oops, my brush is not touched together to tip. There we go. There we go. Yeah. No. I can see the difference, but it is kind of far away for you guys. So look at that detail. Just use that brush to pull away a little bit of paint. There we go. There we go. Okay. I should write all the stuff down that I've hid away in here. But nah. All right, now we have to go back through, and I'm coming out over here now. Oh no, I still want to do some more in there, but I just seen something over here. What was it? Something looked wrong. Oh, right here. Let's get some dark color in there. There, it just looked like a smeared paint. So I just want to get that just right. Okay. All right, we're gonna do another little bit of, well, maybe let's try the other larger brush, see if we can go quicker with this other brush here. Do I want to keep that New York City that I put right there? It wasn't on the buildings, I just thought it needed something in that space. And I do want to redo this a little bit here. This is totally wrong. Totally. And like I said, my canvas is really getting saggy. So I will do a video on how I tighten that canvas up too. So that will be sooner than later. If I do it now, it'd probably be a good idea because I'm not going to be pushing on the canvas anymore. But I'll do it this weekend since I'm doing outside projects. I'll do this one. I'll take a few minutes and do this one then. Okay, all right. And then let's go here. Not every time do I do my letters perfectly, but sometimes you just block out. It's really about getting that paint on that brush and holding the shape of the brush into what you want. So I'm really push that down and see. Put an example here. Put a little paint on. So I'm really like manipulating that brush so I have this perfect little tip, a little edge, so I can get in there and put perfectly. All right. This is a lot of more of the darker part of this building. There wasn't very many light windows in this building, I believe. And then here is this. Let's see if I just darken. This lower half of this building and bring it up. So what I'll do, for example, I don't know if this is a good example, is I put that little paint there and I just use that stiff brush, blend it up into the areas, and then I can come across here. Put a little of that paint on. I was watching the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing last night. I don't remember the name of this movie. It was on, and you have to push buttons to find the name out, so I just let it play. And the guy that was Igor in it was the dude from Lord of the Rings. I used to remember their names, like this. I forgot his name, his brother's name, but his brother was Sean Bean, and then he was the one at the fighting everything at the fort. That one guy. Well, he was Igor in this movie, and it looked like he was 5'2". And I said, in Lord of the Rings, they make him gigantic, like a big tall dude. And in this movie I watched, he's like a foot shorter than Hugh Jackman, and he's being Igor. And I was like, I bet they had to like put Hugh Jackman in 6-inch boots for that scene, because the other guy had to really bend down, and they had them walking next to each other, and of course, there was definitely a foot difference. But watching how they filmed things like that, kind of thinking about how they did that scene of just them walking next to each other and then looking totally different heights, when reality I think they're around the same height. So I thought that was kind of funny watching that. I like to watch how movies are made, or I like to think how I would do that if I made a movie. So, because I like making movies. I don't know if anybody is on here has seen. It's one of the few movies I've made. I think there's like 7 of them. I made a playlist. The last movie I made was Flatland, which is an animated tale. It's kind of a tall tale. I've been kind of working with tall tales a little bit, just because I grew up with tall tales and I love them. And I would love to see more tall tale movies, kind of like Big Fish was a good example. I would like to see something a little bit in that. Now, I know that Indian movies from India, they have some really great tall tales in their movies. I mean, they're really good. So, finding through. Okay, we did darken that up. That looks good. Brought it a little bit darker up. Let's darken this area though real quick. I woke up at like late this morning at like after 9, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do today. And I was like, oh no, you got to get up right now to do those things. And I was like, okay. I got up and I felt like I got up so fast. I would barely make it. But I did it. I did my 3 miles today. I did my 3-mile walk. As long as I do that, I feel good. Now, there's another thing about this building. I could just make it up and make it this way, but I can make these columns separate from the areas around them, and I might add some dimension. Let's just do it. I mean, it doesn't need to be done, but let's do it so that we have more things for your eyes to contend with. And what I'm doing, this is the last phase of my painting. So this is where I really want to sit back, take my time, and put in cool elements that I didn't put in when I first built it. Like the apple that I put in here earlier, or recently. That was just recently that I put that in. So different things like that. You wait till later on to decide what to add to. And a little bit more dark lines are good. It just really adds more elements for your eyes to look at. Yeah. I guess I should try using my microphone now. I was afraid to because I kept getting the hiccups. And every time I was trying to talk, I had hiccups. So imagine having the microphone. Listen, that would be crazy. So I will probably get the microphone back out again and use that on my live shows. Okay. What I would like right now is someone to invent a small camera for miniature artists. It needs to go on, you know how mechanics have that long magnetic stick that you can pick stuff up with? It's telescoping, you pull it. Well, we need something like that with a camera on the end that you can swivel. If you're a developer out there, this is what we need. And that would be so helpful to bring into my miniatures and be able to film from the inside out. Now, I tried buying one of those like plumbing cameras, you know, the long, and and this was several years ago, and it just didn't have very good high quality. It wouldn't work the way I wanted. Plus, it was a twisting camera because of how it was put on a cord. So you couldn't always twist it up and down straight. Sometimes you had these weird bends and your camera angle would be upside down or sideways. So you couldn't quite fix that. Plus, like I said, the camera quality is really bad, black and white. So I have been looking at some new cameras and stuff, but I feel once again I need to wait. Just like this one project, I waited 10 years for them to develop a tiny television for this one project that I did, and they finally did, and I was able to create that project. So I will wait it out. I have no problem waiting out for what I need. What is wrong here? My eyes say no, but my heart says yes. Okay, I'm gonna go down here. Just putting those lines right alongside. I think that will help out. I'm not going to do the upper area as much. I think I already kind of did. They're really, it's really light right there. Oh, on that side too. See, that's different. That's not, I'm not going to do that down here, but oh well. I've been planning an arbor. Also, the one I created and made 30 years ago here on this property is breaking away. So I am developing a arbor design. So it'll be fun. I could do some woodworking. And I won't need to build a jig for this one, so I'm okay. But yeah, it's going to be unique design. I originally wanted to do with the like the trees that we cut around here, like with the big birch branch, but it kind of won't go with everything. I think like that's fine for some things, but not for others. Not here, maybe, for that project. And plus, I am going to build a little fort with the trees that we've been trimming around here, the branches. So I do have a little mini fort in mind for that. Kind of like a Hershey Kiss shaped and with two chairs in it, and we would put it over by the creek. Kind of a nice little sit down area to hang out in. That would be very cool. I'm always creating stuff, and I've got to the point in my life where I don't even like really even sketch them out anymore. It's just they're in my head, and I can design it and go from there. Whereas for years I would use sketchbooks. I have so many sketchbooks and I save them all, but now I'm rarely ever using my sketchbooks anymore. I'm just going straight into the art. And I kind of need the sketches because you have to, I like to document my journey, but a lot of times I just go for it. That is the frosty side of me. My plain side says plan, plan, plan it all the way down to everything, plan every detail. And all that structure is great. I really liked structure and organization, but then the feral side of me is like, run around free and yell. And so that can be frustrating. All right, that looks okay. Eh. Over talking. Look at how much straighter that looks. That looks so nice right there. In my eyes, from here, I don't know what your angle looks, because you're picking up the light fragments differently from that angle too. So I'm looking straight on at my painting. You're kind of at a weird little angle there. So another successful show. I'm so excited that I was able to do a better show as I go. It's just been really practicing for the last couple weeks. I wasn't even able to release some of my other videos because I was so I didn't feel confident in those ones. Like you go off on these weird little talks, and I was like, no, 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 those are bad. Just don't do that one. Just put that out. And it can be something stupid all of a sudden. You started talking. So now I finally get to do well. I'm happy about it. Now I don't know if I want to keep it like that because it looks like I just drew it in. It doesn't have any blending to it. So what I'm going to do is come around the back here, the back side of that, and put a thicker line in. There we go. We're getting it. Now, another thing I'm really concerned too about is, do I have everything dark enough? I mean, I feel like I think at this point, I'm looking too close at my painting. There we go. What I want to do, I'm going to try something real quick. I don't know if this is something I want to do. I don't like that brush. I'm going to throw that brush outside. Run over it with the lawnmower. And then throw it into the garbage can. The canvas is really popping. All right, I'm just gonna hold that for a second. Now I've only been using Payne's Gray and titanium white, and honestly, every so often there's a brown tone that comes out, and I know that's the Payne's Gray from inside. Just the mixture, because it actually says in the back what it's mixed out of. Let's see, it has different pigments in here, and oh, it's all covered up with paint now. Great. Immediately. The other one used to too. I used to be able to read that one too, but all right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and add thing is that there isn't really a shadow behind this, so I need to blend it in, but I want that darker. The problem is some of this stuff isn't dark enough. It needs to be just a little darker, and if I just do a little bit here or there, I think that will help. So this one, I'm just trying to bring it in. I'll bring it into that one. And I'll tell you, these tiny little hairs, it's like I have a rabbit or something. My dog is not really that. I guess you just don't realize how much your dog sheds either. I don't think she likes being called a dog. So one day I said, well, we are people and you're a dog. And she was so dissatisfied with that. still thinking about doing my motorcycle trip across the longest road in Washington State, longest gravel road. And so there's a lot of little schematics and logistics. What I really need to do, I think, is what my husband is working on, is we really need a sidecar for our dog. I could not put her in a kennel while we were gone for 2 weeks. That would devastate her because she's a pound dog. She's a pound puppy. And I don't really have anybody to take her for 2 weeks. I mean, she's good. She's well behaved. It's just she belongs to be with me. That's all. And she should just hang out with us. And it gives people a better reason to stay back if they see a dog in a seat. This trip really doesn't go into a lot of main roads, but you do still have to go through a few cities and passes to make that work. Oops. Get a little bit of too much of that in here and this. Well, thank you, Loose 306. I appreciate it. All right, we're getting to the end here. We've got just a few minutes left. Thanks, you guys, for joining and hanging out today. Appreciate it if you tap that screen and give me a couple likes. That'd be cool. I could do some with those. Go home and knit a sweater with them. All right. This is more of me talking. This is more of me kind of thinking. I'm not really like progressing with what I'm doing, but I'm thinking about it. And that's more important. I think what I'm going to do as soon as I'm off the camera is really kick this out. But I think when I'm on the camera talking, it blocks some of my creative thinking. And that's what I'm trying to do, is combine my creative thinking, filming all at the same time, talking at the same time, learning a new skill. So thank you for being here as I figure this out in my life. I appreciate it. All right. Oh, Lucy. Cool. Well, thanks for joining, Lucy. All right. So there we go. That is where we're at on the painting. I've went ahead and finished this section up to really pretty good last night. I got that section in. It looks really good. I put the handles on this drawer. I've come through and cleaned that up pretty well. There's a lot I don't like about this building. Should I come back to it and fix it up? I don't know. Yesterday I cleaned up some of these windows and made their little things a little thinner, but I still need to do more, just as you go. This building I think is fine. I really don't think I need to do much to this one. This is okay. It could be better, but I'm gonna say it's okay. And then this is the building we just did on, and I think that looks fine. It just adds some more highs and lows just for your eyes. And then this is the building that I was working on also last night. I'll need to do a little bit more. Well, thank you. Oh, from Ireland. My grandfather is from Ireland. Prendergast is his last name. My grandfather was born in 1900. So today he would have been 126. I say that every year. So yeah, so getting all that in there looks really good. And yeah, and you can really start to, I wanted to talk about how that titanium white, it's really important to mix it or you get a chalky look, and you can really see some chalky looks in some of these places from just the pure. And so I will mix at the end, clean up those, get those going, but you still see it just a little bit more high, tightening up, crisping it out will make these look a lot better. So just little things like that. And also, I forgot to tell people about that domino. I gotta remember to do that. And I have to be really careful as Payne's Gray. If you just put a little scratch in there, you can see it. It's like a leather couch. And then you can't lick it and rub it away. So you'll always have that little scratch or line there. All right, thank you so much for watching. I should be back next Monday at around 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.